Welcome to Interview Skills. Over the course of this short video, you will learn the 4 Ps, which are the pillars which will help you succeed in the interview scenario. We will be covering the agenda, which is prepare, practice, present, and provide. And lastly, towards the end of the video, we'll cover the interview do's and don'ts. So what do we mean when we mean prepare? How to prepare for an interview. Do your research prior to the interview. It's a good idea to gather as much information about the company that you feel is relevant. Also, you should be aware other candidates will likely do the same. So, how can you stand out and do something that will shock or impress? Research awards the business has won. Look at their YouTube page and also Google them to find and filter news stories to see recent news about the business and its current ongoings. Consider looking at LinkedIn for the hiring manager and their past achievements. This way you'll have something to talk about in the interview and it will show really good initiative. Consider looking at the company's rivals and take notes about who the competitors are. Practice, practice, practice. Even CEOs have to practice and prepare for interviews. Failing to prepare is indeed preparing to fail. Try to enlist friends or colleagues to ask you some sample questions. Practice making eye contact. This will show assertiveness and confidence straight off the bat. Try to video record your practice sessions and pay attention to your body language and your verbal presentation. Eliminate verbal fillers like and the word like can be used too often. Practice using positive body language to signal confidence. Try to give a firm handshake because that will start you off with a great footing at the start of an interview. Try to handle logistics early. Have your clothes, CV and directions to the interview site ready ahead of time. Also try to anticipate likely questions you're going to be asked. Try to prepare some mock answers for these just so you feel more ready. To get to the motivations and working style of a potential employee, employers often turn to behavioural interviewing, an interviewing style which consists of a series of probing and incisive questions. Now, this may seem a little intimidating, however, with a little preparation, you can feel confident before the interview. How to present yourself. Now, dressing for an interview for a job at a bank and a job in fashion are going to require 2 different aesthetics. Dress for the role appropriately. Open-toed shoes are an obvious no-no for most corporate roles. Your presence should be impactful and one the interviewer will remember. Make eye contact and a firm handshake shows you are confident and you mean business. Even if you are a shy person, these top tips will enable you to come across composed and confident, especially if you are not. Last of all, remember to have fun and breathe. Remember, the employer wants to like you and wants to have found the right candidate in you, so relax, deep breaths and smile. At an interview, it is extremely important to look and act professionally, as you won't have a second chance. Ideally, a business suit should be worn, and although check with your recruiter for indications of the office culture beforehand, clean shoes, clean fingernails, and clean, well-groomed hair are important. Research has shown that an interview forms their impression within the first 8 seconds of meeting a candidate. The remainder of the interview is either spent confirming this opinion or turning it around. You've got one shot. Let's move on to questions. What sort of questions do you think you should answer and ask in an interview? It's important to provide questions and answers based on your preparation prior to attending the interview. Employers love it when a candidate throws them off with a great and unexpected question. This does 2 things. It makes the interviewer remember you, and it shows you've done your homework and care. Some examples of great questions are, what is a culture like in the team and business? What is your favourite and least favourite thing about working for the business? How can I prove myself worthy of the role in the first 3 months? What will my main obstacles be and look like in the first 3 months of my journey? And what is your current management style like? Remember to also think about what sort of questions you'll get asked in an interview before attending. Most employers want you to provide examples of a time where you faced a challenge and overcame it. They want examples of your style of problem solving and team playing. Come prepared with a few options, as this is almost always asked. It's really easy to be nervous here, but if you breathe, you won't forget what to say. Your brain needs oxygen to remember things. If you're faced with a question you can't answer as you simply haven't had the experience to do so, that's totally fine. Simply be honest and describe what you would do in that situation if it were to happen to you. Moving on to interview do's and don'ts. Don't assume that you can wing it and be impressive without trying or without advanced preparation. Don't assume that an invitation to a job interview means that you have a job offer in the bag. Huge mistake. Don't arrive late. Let's repeat that one for those in the back. Don't arrive late. Don't eat, drink, or chew gum during the interview, and don't drink alcohol or smoke prior to the interview. These sound really obvious to some people, but you'd be surprised at how often these protocols aren't followed. Don't answer calls or send or respond to texts during the interview either. Keep your phone turned off and stowed away. Don't inquire about salary, vacations, bonuses, retirement, or other benefits until you've received a formal offer. That's when negotiation comes into play. This is a very big don't that you can't lose track of during the interview. Don't act desperate as though you would do and take any job with any employer. Also, at the same time, try not to act disinterested in the job or the employer. Don't say anything negative about former colleagues, supervisors, or employers, and don't offer any negative information about yourself, even if you are being self-deprecating. You're trying to sell yourself, don't forget. Don't answer questions with a simple yes or no, and explain whenever possible. Describe those things about yourself that showcase your relevant skills, talents, and accomplishments. Try not to be soft-spoken. Speak clearly and project confidence and preparation. Don't fidget or slouch. Don't bring up or discuss personal, family issues or problems. And after the interview, don't forget to follow up immediately with your thank you notes or emails to each interviewer. Moving on to do's. Ending on a positive note, do plan to arrive about 10 to 15 minutes early. A late arrival for a job interview is never excusable, no matter what the excuse. If you're running late, do phone the employer to let them know. And if you arrive more than 15 minutes early, wait until around 10 minutes prior to the interview to present yourself to the employer. Do turn off your mobile phone and put it out of sight unless you must use it to demonstrate a job-related skill or accomplishment. Do be sure to greet the receptionist or assistant and other staff members with courtesy and respect. If presented with a job application, do fill it out neatly, completely and accurately. Keep it in sync with both your LinkedIn profile and CV because they will probably be compared to ensure consistency. Do bring a notepad in case you need to jot down anything of interest regarding the job. Also, for good measure, bring a copy of the job description, JD, and extra CVs. Do shake hands firmly, make eye contact, and smile when you are introduced to someone. Avoid having a limp, sweaty, or clammy handshake. Do wait until you are offered a chair before sitting, and do remember body language and posture. Sit upright with your shoulders back, no slouching. Do maintain eye contact with your interviewers and do show enthusiasm in the position and company at all times. Do avoid using poor grammar, bad language, slang, pause words such as like, and Some of these may seem obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people don't follow the below advice. Lastly, do have fun. Remember, the interviewer wants you to be the right candidate. Now that you're armed with the do's and don'ts of the interviewing process, go out there and rock your interview. Good luck.